Hi, it's been a while, and I have been sort of dreading this for a minute, just wondering what it is that I was going to say. I need to close the door here. And but the one thing I've been thinking about a lot as we have approached the end of the year is uh, how life can change and what some of those lessons from life changes have taught me. 2025 was rough, and a part of me is glad it's over, but there's another part of me that feels like I wish it would drag on just a little longer so that like it would have a better ending, so to speak. Um, but it's fine. Time will not wait, and it's okay. It's finally okay that um, things have played out the way they've played out. And when I say it's okay, a bit, it's a blend of resignation, and it's a blend of resignation and acceptance. So I'm sure most of us have heard of the Serenity Prayer, which is basically praying for the wisdom to know the difference. I know the last part. Um, like, it's like, God, give me the strength to change the things that I can, and the something to accept the things I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference. Something of the sort. So vulnerability, hangover, loading. But I was in Germany earlier this year, and I had hoped to stay there for longer than I did. And I was running out of my student visa, and I was not able to extend it on time for various reasons. And but there was a part of me that was also very, very homesick, and um, I was still sort of reeling from the end of a long-term relationship, and I was struggling to finish up with school. I still had my thesis just hovering over my head. I was struggling to find work. I did find something, but it wasn't like a formal job, so I couldn't use that to extend my stay. And I came home feeling very defeated, and I struggled to get out of bed when it sunk. Like initially you get home and you're like, oh God, I am finally home. I see people who look like me, the language, the food, just, the community, the support. And then you have this thing hanging over your head, like you need to finish school. So I hunkered down. I literally like became a hermit, sort of, not sort of, I really did become a hermit. And while I worked on my thesis, and even the final product wasn't something I was like incredibly excited about or proud of, because I felt like it could have been more, but it had been dragging on for too long, and I had changed it at the last minute when I was submitting the thesis topic. I added in some elements that significantly increased how much work I needed to do. So my thesis took over my life for months, and it was rough because it just was like research and eventually data analysis, which I was just largely clueless about, and having to like learn all that very quickly. It was a steep learning curve, and then changing from this to the other, and it was a lot. It took a toll on me emotionally. It took a toll on me mentally. I would literally have dreams about my thesis. I would wake up, go to the bathroom, come back, and couldn't fall asleep again because of my thesis. And so when I finally finished, I called my BFF, my bestie Jules, and I told her, girl, I'm done. And she was there playing music in the background when I was submitting it. It was such a huge deal. And then now there's coming from that social isolation to like getting back to talking to people, meeting up with people. It, I couldn't believe that I was actually struggling to meet up with people and talk to people and all that. And I recognize and can admit now that there was also that element of shame. Like you just came back, like you didn't think this through, you didn't work something out, you didn't try hard enough to come, to stay there because the economy in Kenya is suffering, and like So what did you come back to do? Is what I was asking myself, but also thinking uh, people would be thinking, because I didn't really like come back with a plan. And that not having a plan has been tough for me to deal with. And then now getting into job applications, and then realizing every other person you meet who's employed is telling you, yeah, connections, networks matter. So getting back to looking for old networks and making those awkward cold calls and like, yeah, I'm looking for work, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. um, and then graciously, uh, I get these clients, and they're not many, but it's something. It's hope. It's that reminder that you've still got it. You're still capable. You can still coach. You're good at what you do, and getting really good feedback, especially from a new client, and just feeling very capable. And that's been the journey, from a lot of self-doubt, a lot of questioning, a lot of what the heck is going on, how will I figure this out, to registering for a language course online and reconsidering life in Germany and thinking, if not Germany, where else, and still applying for jobs even when there are no replies, and no regret to inform me emails, and thinking, wait, I feel pretty good about this application, and not hearing back. And that's been the roller coaster. I came back home thinking that this master's degree would auto magically open certain doors for me that haven't opened yet. And yet, I'm not completely, I haven't lost hope completely. So, like, there is that element of uh, fatigue, and why the heck am I even trying? And what are my options? And then I still managed to do something. And the something, for instance, being like landing coaching clients by talking to people and telling them what you do. And then hearing back from friends asking, how can we help? What's the strategy? Do you have a flyer we can share? Is there a website? And hey, I'll talk to this person. And literally going to visit a friend and having them, Ivy, talk to their colleagues and go like, can you hire her? She's good at this. She could do this. She's done this. Here she is. And just having someone bring into a boardroom that way, and uh, talk you up to their networks in your very presence, and then also letting you know on the side, friends like Olive who would like tell you, hey, I've seen this and I think this would be good for you. Friends like Wavwa who sent me links for jobs, friends like Jules who sent me links for jobs that I felt I was underqualified for, but you're like, hey, you're already starting at no, why not try? And that's the thing I've learned to do in 2025, to pick myself up and try, and to hope for a better time to come. And also putting myself out there, and letting people know, like, hey, I'm looking for this. I would like this kind of opportunity. And being honest about what it is that I want. Because there was that beggars cannot be choosers bit of me that kept telling me, just take anything that comes your way. And then I said an interesting prayer, and I was like, God, if it's not for me, just close that door. I don't think I have the willpower or the wisdom right now, or the discernment to figure out what would be good for me now and what wouldn't. And granted, I have still found myself saying, as recently, I guess, as this week, that if I got a job that wasn't necessarily in line with where I want to be career wise, I would take it, because the bills to pay. There's something about like having a purpose, like waking up to do something, and that regularity and structure, that is very healing to a person who's feeling scattered. Um, but then I've also had the courage to go to ask for help and ask for advice and go like, does this sound like a good deal? And have people who are in the field or working tell me, and I don't know whether this suits you, or knowing you as a friend or as a work associate or whatever, like, I don't know if this is a good fit for you. Yes, this is a good fit for you. You should try for it. In fact, why don't you indicate these as some of your transferable skills, because there's been a lot of self-doubt. One of the things I'm really grateful for is that some of my apologies have been accepted. I had a huge, huge fallout with my ex, and I posted a bunch of videos online, which now you will not be able to see. And we were able to have an honest conversation about what happened. It was hard, and there were tears, but then there's also admitting the parts you played in making a mess of things, and letting this person also say, hey, this is a part that I played. And a lot of regret. Processing grief and regret is, at the same time, is hard, but it's also very necessary, because I know what unprocessed grief looks like, how it will show up 10, 20 years later because you didn't deal with it, and it was bottled down and pushed down over and over. Over time. So I'm grateful for friendship. I'm grateful for second chances. There are things I have said and done that I can't take back, and there are apologies that were not accepted, not responded to, and that's fine. People do have permission to not want to deal with you again when you've crossed the line for them. But the thing I'm also just grateful for is hope. I'm grateful for the fact that there are times when you will try and get the thing you're looking for. There are times when you will apply for a language course and get in. You will sometimes have to start over in friendships, in relationships, work-wise, to build up to where you want to be. But I'm glad that, I live in a world where there's room for that. There's room for improvement, and especially that there are second chances, that there's grace, that there's forgiveness, that there's redemption. So, yeah. And I'd said, like, yeah, I'm not going back to the channel. I think I've said too much. I've done too much. I've fallen too far from grace. I've just, it's been a mess. But being human is messy and hard, but it's also beautiful. It has its moments. After finishing off with school, it was tough knowing that my graduation is coming and I'm not going to attend. And it did break my heart a little, if not a lot. But then I happened to attend someone else's graduation, and she let me wear her graduation gown. And I attended a friend's graduation as well for a master's program. And that felt, it is bittersweet, I will be honest, but it also felt like the universe, like it's just like God still giving you those little chances to be celebrated and to celebrate yourself and to celebrate these milestones. And the timing was just beautiful. And being able to go on those sleepovers and visits and hangouts that I had really, really wanted to enjoy last year when I was in Germany, and I wasn't close to my friends. I wasn't around these people I'd wanted to spend time with. And so the prayer has been answered in a way that was not exactly the way I wanted it answered, but it's been answered nonetheless. And there are times when we get the things that we wanted, and they're not exactly the way we wanted them to be, but we get them, and that's something I'm also learning to accept. And acceptance for me, at least, has been a blend of resignation, like, what will be, like I have no control over it, or the whole having control of situations in that illusion is a whole other conversation. And then there's also that bit of, you know what, I got it. Small celebration. So it is bittersweet very often. I'm enjoying the sun. I'm enjoying home food, like food from my home country, because I used to complain a lot about the food in Germany, and I'm enjoying those close connections and hangouts and sleepovers that span longer than they should or were initially intended to. And the challenges also just teach you stuff. And I'm not going to sit here and say I love the lessons I learn when I am going through a challenging period. No, I don't. But the fact that there are lessons to be learned I really hope that this is a season where those lessons stay and that I can apply them, and that I'll be more appreciative of where I'm going to be in the first, second, third, fourth quarter of next year, should God give me life, and to just always strive. One of the stories that I'm drawing a lot of inspiration from is the stories of people who are starting over, and especially starting over late. Those who are picking up after the end of a marriage, the loss of a connection with family, like estrangement, those who are picking up from the loss of a job, those who are coming out of debt, and not just that, but doing that in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, because then it gives me hope that I can pick up and start over and that it's not too late. So, if anything, if you're watching this and you're feeling some type of way about the year that was, and you're wondering what will be different in 2026, especially when you've seen certain patterns repeat themselves and you're feeling stuck, keep going. You don't know. I did not know in 2019 what would happen in 2020. I did not know in 2020 that in late 2022. I did not even know in 2021 that before the end of 2022 I would be in Germany. I did not know I'd be there as long as I was. And although I hoped to stay longer, there's no telling that I won't go back soon. And there's no telling that I won't be able to follow the path that I'm hoping to go down. And also, there's no telling what path I'll follow. Like, we have these ideas in our heads that we are so certain of what will come after this plan and the other, and especially if you're a planner, and or if things have gone your way for a period of time. But having things fall apart has also taught me that you don't know. And so open your mind and your heart a little more to what could surprise you. Now, that doesn't mean exist without a plan or strategy and do nothing and just hope for the best vibes, and inshallah. You do take action, but you also leave room for failure or plans changing or things turning out differently from the way you'd hoped they would. Sometimes we take detours, sometimes they're scenic, sometimes not so great, but if at first you fall, falter, fail, try again. Give yourself grace. Think of the things that did work out and the little things as well. Learning how to celebrate big and little wins is something I'm still doing, but just take time to pause and literally journal or write about or think about and say out loud, like talk to yourself, talk in prayer, in meditation. I guess in meditation you should be quiet, but and talk to your friends, your accountability partners, the people who cheer you on, the ones who engage with you, the ones who talk to you about work and school and life and family, and your coaches, and just see where you're at and where you'd like to be, and but also take the time to look at where you've come from. That really gives you confidence that you can get to where you're hoping to get to. Keep hope alive, you guys. It goes a great way, a great long way in helping push you forward. Belittling yourself and calling yourself names and talking to yourself poorly does very little, if any, good to you as a person. Just does very little for your well-being and for your feelings of capability around achieving and accomplishing some of the things you'd like to accomplish. Keep hope alive, keep dreaming, keep at it, keep writing down those visions, and feel like crap when things don't work out and cry, but then just come back to it. I promise you something's going to give. It will. Happy New Year. And yeah, this wasn't so bad.